The Sacramento Old City Cemetery is said to be one of the most haunted places in the greater Sacramento area, and it's no wonder. It's the oldest cemetery in the city, with tens of thousands of souls laid to rest here. Visitors have reported seeing apparitions of a young girl playing, a railroad engineer standing over his own grave, even a black pit bull who appears and disappears at will. Within the paranormal community, this cemetery is widely considered the most haunted place in Sacramento, but that was far from what its designers had in mind. Beginning in the 1830s, a movement took hold that involved laying loved ones to rest in places that were far more than burial sites or crowded churchyards. The concept of cities having their own beautiful, meditative memorial parks was born. Statues, mausoleums, and obelisks became their stone and marble spectrum of art. Names, dates, and inscriptions offered reminders of the past within their garden-like atmospheres. Over time, some American cemeteries became so entrancing they earned international fame. Sacramento's 170-year-old cemetery is in that same tradition. One of the buried inhabitants and possible apparitions seen at the cemetery is a Jacob Kline, who receives very little sympathy from the cemetery's tour groups after hearing about his unsavory ending. In February 1886, Kline was walking near J Street when he bumped into his former fiancée, Josephine Fanny Weisel. She had broken their relationship off months before. Kline asked Weisel to go for a walk with him. According to court testimony, the two were approaching 15th Street when Kline suddenly grabbed Weisel and pulled her onto a schoolyard at the site of today's Memorial Auditorium. There, he attacked Weisel, who was seen leaving the area, bloody and battered. Weisel soon realized the brutal encounter left her pregnant. As if she hadn't endured enough, Kline adamantly refused to admit he was the father of the child or take any responsibility for it. That turned out to be his final act of cruelty. Then, just as now, the Sacramento Plaza, today's Cesar Chavez Plaza, was a lively venue for public concerts. Kline was a cornet player who sometimes sat in with its bands. On June 27, 1886, he was giving a performance as a pregnant Weisel watched from the crowd. She waited patiently for her tormentor to leave the bandstand and then started moving toward him. She shot him in the back of the head, and because she was charged with murder, it became Sacramento's trial of the century. A jury ultimately acquitted Weisel. However, it wasn't necessarily for the reasons she might be exonerated today, such as being a traumatized crime victim. No, it seems that a less enlightened view of the day allowed for her freedom, as pregnant women were automatically deemed insane. Even though she married a local man who adopted Kline's son, Charles Huber, the stigma of the boy's parentage and the notorious circumstances of his conception clawed at him for years. In March 1917, Huber murdered his ex-wife as she was pushing her baby in a stroller on the grounds of Cal Expo. For more unusual and strange stories that take place in California, subscribe to Cali X. Go ahead, smash that button. You know you want to.